currently on the podium.
Who served our country and our people with distinction. It is difficult to come to terms with this inescapable and devastatingly painful reality that Bra George, our teacher, our mentor, and the diplomat is no more. I would like to start by conveying our deepest condolences to the family and to say your loss is our loss. To all the community of comrades and colleagues of Bra George who are gathered here, it is both unfortunate and inevitable that as we bid farewell to our dear comrade, it is the reality that many more in the special generations of the most distinguished freedom fighters in our country are passing on. And bidding them farewell has become a painful but regular occurrence. We certainly know that death is something that we as human beings will never get used to. And the pain and anguish it imprints in our hearts and the solitude it leaves in our lives is quite incalculable. And yet, it is death that puts someone's life in true perspective. We can only appreciate the full meaning and beauty of life when this is examined in the context of how they have come to their final end. Both in revolution and in religion, life and death are intertwined and can only be understood in relation to one another. Whereas philosophers and apostles have agreed that death is inevitable, the fundamental question is not whether we shall die or not, but how we live our lives. That is, lives of purpose and the causes we serve when we live. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says, it is the quality, not the longevity of life that is important. And Mark Twain says, let's endeavor to live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Bertolt Brecht says, do not fear death so much, but rather the inadequacy of your own life. Jesus Christ is said to have advised his disciples that instead of crying for him, they must worry about how they are going to live their lives of purpose in order to make a difference. Bra George has given his entire life to the most sacred and most sublime of all human causes, and that is the liberation of humankind. I would like to say to his family and his children, as you go through this pain, just remember that he lived so that our country can be free. He has given more than 5 decades of his life to the struggle for freedom and the reconstruction of our country. He has dedicated his energy to building a better Africa and a better world. What more can we ask of a man or a woman than to sacrifice so that life and the world can be better? He was such a powerful and useful instrument of revolution that even the funeral undertaker is sorry today, as Mark Twain would have wished. He lived such an adequate, fulfilling, and purposeful life that Bertolt Brecht would have seen that there's no reason for fear of death. I have no doubt that the quality of his contribution to the many who are here and to the transformation of our own country is something both Jesus and Martin Luther King Jr. would have appreciated. As we mourn his passing, we have very good reason to celebrate his life of dedication and service to humanity. It is very easy at funerals to say we have come here to celebrate, but we're truly here to celebrate the contribution of Bra George to the liberation of our country. Ambassador Nene's passing is deeply saddening as it happens at a time when as a nation we are mourning the loss of Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela and Dr. Zola Skweyiya. These were outstanding revolutionaries whose lives of purpose were dedicated to the transformation of our own country and the world in which we live. Bra George leaves us indeed in this month of April, and I want to say that April is a month of heroes, because, as has been said earlier on, it's the month in which Solomon Mahlangu has passed on, Chris Hani, Oliver Tambo, now Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Dr. Zola Skweyiya, and Bra George. Of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated also in April. As the people of our province, we dip our revolutionary banner in honor of Bra George, the freedom fighter, the gallant fighter of Umkhonto weSizwe's June 16 detachment, the seasoned campaigner for international isolation of the apartheid regime, the teacher and the mentor. We salute him for flying high both our movement's and nation's flag in the international arena. And we convey our gratitude to his family. And it's on an occasion like this that we say to the family, we thank you for sharing him with us. We also thank Bra George himself for his contribution in crafting South Africa's foreign policy and for training and mentoring many, both new and young diplomats who are in our midst today. We are inspired by his role as a loving father to his children and as a family member. To us, the younger activists of the ANC and the broad democratic movement, he was an exceptional source of knowledge and wisdom. He was a man of impeccable integrity and superior intellect, but always with this humble demeanor. Those of us who are in government today must be seriously challenged to emulate his exemplary conduct as a committed civil servant to serve these people with characteristic honor, humility, and distinction. As a teacher here at Morris Isaacson, where we are today, Bra George groomed and inspired many young people who led the June 16 uprising. Perhaps Don Matera, our own luminary, had Bra George in mind and his children when he penned the poem, The Child, and I quote, "The leaves of the tree of my life grow brown and thin. Soon they will fall to earth and be forgotten. Much fruit has withered. Only a few strong boughs remain, but they too will be broken by the erosion of time. But all of my fruit, all things dear and close to my heart, was you and the hope manifest in your being, you the offsprings of the invincible dream. Yet all I ask of you is to remember me for what I tried to do, tried to offer, so that a new bright sun will rise on your day, that a portion of my dream for the freedom of my people will find a place in your song and in your dreams, that my name and those who marched with me would be recorded in your scrolls." Close quote. Yes, The leaves of the tree of Brajot's lives have grown brown and thin, and they have fallen to the earth. All the things dear and close to him, close to his heart, and a portion of his dreams for the freedom of his people have found a place, I hope, in the song and dreams of his children. And we, his comrades, Brajot's name and those of many others who marched with him have been recorded in the scroll of our history forever. He shall not be forgotten. To the family once again, and the relatives and the friends and the comrades and the colleagues in the diplomatic community, we would like to say, akwehlanga lungehlanga, hamba kahle mkhonto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. David Makhura, the Premier of Gauteng, who's also the acting chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, and also the co-president of the Metropoli, the conglomerate of more than